This is a 4, 1, 4 of the Eugene S. Robinson Show Stomper. I'm your host, Eugene S. Robinson. And before we get into anything else, of which there's a lot to get into, can we talk about the mockery of a travesty of a sham that was a fight last night that I didn't watch, and I don't know anybody else who watched, but I did read about in the paper today. So let's go back a little bit, wasting no time or thought. Let's just go back a little bit. So we know now, we're familiar with the wolf tickets here for the Mr. Strickland thing. Yeah, somebody's gonna die in that cage. I'm gonna die. If I don't lose it, I'm gonna shoot him. I'm gonna die. There's gonna be a murder, and each time there's a patty cake, and then at the end everybody's hugging. And it's like, okay, we got it. You're selling a fight. That's fine. Nobody's getting murdered in the cage. Nobody. Yeah, that's I've had friends who say that about heroin. you know, and they used to do it, and they go back and they do a little bit of it. It wasn't that bad because they didn't die this time. But unless you watched it for free, at this point now, I can't help but feel like I'm funding another fucking ballroom or a trip to Epstein's Island because I know the money is going into the pockets of scumbags. You say, Mr. Robinson, what do you care? Like, yeah, look, like we talked about on If the Shoes Fit yesterday, pre-Lee Iacocca, you didn't know who any of these CEOs were. You didn't know. Maybe there was a period after Lee Iacocca, and then Andy Grove from Intel, and then Steve Jobs from Apple, and then you start to get to know. But then there's a severe, Bill Gates, whoremonger Bill Gates. Yeah, he's that. But generally, you want those guys to move in silence and violence. You don't want them out there chatting, right? And this is what happened to the ball when he got carried the fuck away. And then he's got the prox. And in the early days, it was justification for maybe cozying up to people in power because, John McCain, because of his friendships with the people at HBO and Budweiser, because of his wife, the whole thing, we're trying to shut down MMA. Yes, we got it. We got that. It makes sense. But like Charlemagne the God asked Baldwin, what are you doing? Essentially gargling this guy's nuts. What is the purpose for this? How can't you? You're going to spend your time gargling his nuts? Maybe at least tell him that he's actually hurting real people out there. Hey, yeah, it's your friend. Do you always tell your friends shit? I'll tell my friends shit that they need to hear a few times. After that, it's clear the decision is mine to make. Either stay connected to them or not stay connected to them. And I've forgiven murderers much more readily than I've forgiven anybody I know who's committed a sex crime, which is to say, I don't know very many people that I would consider friends that have committed sex crimes. I know plenty of murderers, but you got to be able to speak truth to power sometimes. Yeah, Charlemagne the God. So I can't. At this point now, it makes me sick to my fucking stomach. But it's nice to watch them rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic. And so what they do is they put Comsat against Sean Strickland, right? And so there's these talking, he's going to shoot him. And these guys, and they yank the curtain back a bit. And sometimes Comsat would say like, yeah, Sean, we used to he's trying to sell the fight, trying to make us some money. There's a credit to him. It's like, we don't believe you. No, we don't believe it. This is a sporting event that has pretenses of being anything else at this point. But except now, you've got the Baldwin trying to put some distance between him and the presidential maniac because it's become clear that with all these billions of dollars getting thrown around, he goes into the world of straight media, and they don't play along like Access MMA media does, right? They ask real questions. This Charlemagne the God is I don't know what school he went to for his journalism, but he's got a following. People listen to him, and he asks some good questions. So, what are we going to do with the bull? So did I watch the fight? No. Did I care? No, because let me tell you why. Outside of the political affiliation, let me tell you why. I look at the odds, and I was like, get ready. It's coming. Nobody was picking Strickland. And I was like, man, I hate to sport, but I know in my bones I got to put money on Strickland because with the odds like this, there's no way. Now, and Mr. Robinson, you saying that it was a work? There are lots of different ways to work things. this is the conversation I have with him, son. I was like, look, you know, we always expect you to do your best. You're already a Hall of Famer guaranteed. You got 9 wins over totally credible guys in a row. Some of those wins are in the same calendar year. Your legacy is guaranteed. But what's not guaranteed is your bank account. You know? So I'm just saying. I'm just saying. If you lost this fight, you know, it doesn't tarnish your legacy. And you could make a lot of friends, a lot of money. Yeah, a lot of money, a lot of friends, a lot of money, a lot of and that in that spiel I just gave, I didn't mention anything about throwing the fight. I didn't mention anything about working the fight. I didn't mention anything about kayfabe. I just said you could make a lot of money. Those odds like that. So I'm thinking, how much could I stand to lose? I said, wow, shit, $300. What if I now I'm not so good with the math. Somebody out there could figure out if I had put $300 down on Strickland, how much would I have won? But you had to, I don't know how they're gonna do it, but they're gonna do it. And then when there was a whole, oh, we need to use digital scales, this is like David Blaine. I'm going to show you something over here, and something magical is going to happen over here. Let's get everybody focused on, oh, there's a weigh-in controversy. He was slightly overweight. He was the. You say, well, Mr. Robinson, if this was the case, wouldn't people have started to shift their numbers towards Strickland because of the way when a guy is 9-0, no, they do not shift their numbers. They do not shift it. Read all of the commentators, inside the fence commentators, who picked Strickland to win. A zero that I read, and I'm reading widely. Zero. So I said, this is gonna make somebody rich. This is gonna make somebody rich. I mean, there are a lot of ways to fix a fight. And there's a lot of ways that involve very few people. Is he training for the fight? How, based on when he starts losing weight for his fights, when do you start losing weight for this fight? Did he roll in there 47 pounds overweight and try to lose that in 4 days? Listen, you know what? I mean, at this point now, listen, if a guy is a rapist and all of his friends are rapists, I'm not leaving anybody I don't want to get raped alone with them, if you understand where I'm going with this. If you're a liar and you're friends with liars, I'm generally going to not trust anything that you guys got to say. I'll listen. I'm willing to believe anything. Extraterrestrials? Sure. Sure, whatever. But I won't believe you. So all of this stuff, selling this fight, gin this fight, yeah, man, who knows, man? Yeah, I read a lot. There was that guy, yeah, there's not one knockout, one punch knockout guy, lots of guys. Who, who, did you know their names before the fight? And I'm sure there's somebody sitting there at the UFC right now saying, yeah, well, what about, Johnny Boy Johnny? There was a time when people didn't know him either. We do, we develop personalities, that we're in the business of developing personalities and characters and selling these athletes. Yeah, okay, yeah, whatever, man, whatever. Fine, good for you. Good for you. It's a fucking lie. Because you didn't spend any time developing convicted anal rapist Conor McNuggets, did you? No, the guy had a moment, and he took that moment. Like he's taken the anuses of many of his friends. Took that moment and made it work for him. You guys are like, I want to use a line, Ruben Blade's line from Crossover Dreams. I can see the line that was spoken to him. The guy said, I'm going on tour. The guys, you got to tour my asshole. That's what you're going to do. You believe these guys, Hunter Khan, all these fucking coterie of crooks and liars. So that's it. That's it on the fight. So those of you who are interested in more fight reportage, you can leave now because I don't want to spend any more time on it. I just think it was too convenient that a guy with those odds actually won the fight. And again, you could sell this guy. And I said, even John Jones has got one loss on this record. There's no shame in that game, but you do. You do what you feel is right. I'm not, listen, I've been at the fighters rules meetings for other fight for UFC as well as Strikeforce and bunches of other fights. Bellator, bunches of other fights. And I've heard people say, promoters say, um, I heard one guy say, listen, about the rule set, you know, technically this rule and names the rule is allowed. So you could do it, but why bother really? You want to end somebody's career, is maybe the horizontal, the side kick to the knee, the Johnny Boney Jr. thing. It wasn't that, it was another one, but you know what he was saying and you know what he meant. So there's a lot of gray area. Does it change the name of the game in the middleweight division? No. And they're giving Chris, the Gauleiter General, gets his place in the Hall of Fame. Hope that makes his wife happy. Now she could stop emailing me under her fake address, making fun of the size of my penis or whatever other outre things that she was throwing my way because I said that he's being driven by a wife who has financial needs. I mean, you don't take that shit personally. there isn't there there isn't a spouse in the house who doesn't have financial needs. Anyway, so that's it. I'm sure there were good fights on it. I'm sure there are ways to watch it for free. But I just it's I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. I predicted this a long time ago. So anyway, let's go back. Let's go back into early on in the week. The surgery that will in all likelihood almost murder me tomorrow. Yeah, so I go in for the staff thing, and I'm feeling pretty confident because I've been gobbling these antibiotics, and they look at me and they're like, "Have you been cleaning this?" I go, "Yeah, yeah, clean it. Hot compresses, yeah." So well, let go to the nurse's station and we'll have you clean it out again. And so, and the nurse is causing me some small amount of pain, digging into my arm here. And I say, "Hey, you have any lidocaine?" And suddenly nobody speaks English. Yeah. Now I said the whole rest of the sentence in Spanish. And then lidocaine, I don't know what the fuck it's called in Spanish. It's a proprietary name. She goes, "Oh, painkiller, yeah, yeah, me duele, my pain." And so she takes something, she takes like Freon and sprays it. There's some chill. That shouldn't last for like 10 seconds. And she's digging and digging in my arm. And it's like, I'm gripping. Thankfully, she didn't make any jokes about, you got all them tattoos. Okay, I don't have to hear these jokes. So she backs up from the table to get me a dressing. And I hear this, just like, so she's dropping stuff on the floor. I go, "You dropped something." And she's like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, I'll get it." She's trying not to acknowledge what it was. And I look down and it's a small hooked piece of metal. I was like, you know what, man, then I try to leave and they say, "Listen, your insurance is, yeah, because you remember the old story back to Spain, I get health care for free, but I'm in America, I don't trust anything for free." So the premium, I'll go from paying $3,600 a month for health insurance in America to that same amount per year for the supplementary. It covers dental, vision, and prescription. Okay, but suppose it expired April 1st, and this is the difference between the countries. You know, in a month before, the insurance companies would have been dunning me. You gotta pay. Your billing date is coming up. They don't give a shit. It turns out my expired April 6th. I was like, oh, wow, I got to pay it again. So I pay it again on like April 12th, and it hasn't gone through somehow. And so they don't, so they say, look, you go with 75 euros for this. And I was like, yeah, okay. And they said, and you could come in tomorrow for another cleaning. And then I go, I don't want to pay another 75 euros for that. And they, well, no, you get your insurance straight. You come in, you deal with it. So I come in the next day and it's the same Nurse Ratchet there, and she's digging and digging, and And in the meantime, Greg Cole's a great tattoo guy. Greg Cole's also jiu-jitsu player. Was like, yeah, man. I've seen people have their tattoos destroyed by staff. So I'm hoping. Fortunately for me, it's on a non-tattooed portion of my arm, my left arm, which is very hard to find, but there is. It's perfectly placed between some tattoo. So they're digging and digging. And this time it's not hurting as much because she saw me see the metal and she didn't bring back the metal. And they were just like, look, you got to come back in. They got to do surgery. I was like, So she puts this bandage on super tight. And to hold the bandage on, what do? I wrap some medical tape around to make sure it doesn't come off when I'm sleeping. But my arm starts itching like crazy. Last guy I knew who had whose leg, he had the old style cast on his leg. He straightened the hanger and he dipped the hanger down in to scratch his leg because it was itching. When they took the cast off, from scratching his leg that he couldn't feel, it got infected. He had gangrene, lost his fucking leg. Guy was 19. So I'm starting to get itching. I panic. In the morning, I take off the medical tape. Well, the skin between the medical tape had started to blister. This is not even the staph section. It's next to the staph section. It's on the peak of the bicep. Okay. So now there's these two blisters. I popped the blisters. There's blood all over my arm, and of course, I imagine MRSA, flesh-eating bacteria, is rushing into the spot. I go, God, I got to go back. So they go back. Listen, we're going to give you some more antibiotics. Just keep taking them, whatever. And it come in on Monday. We'll just have the dude cut it out. This is where we are. So like now, finally today, I broke down, took a shower, took it off, and it's almost scabbing over, and it doesn't hurt anymore. So I'm like, shit. I think they may not have to cut me open tomorrow. Here's hoping, because without being able to train, the amount of effort it takes for me to keep it together is crazy. And I remember the first time I really hurt my back. The first time I hurt my back, I was in the varsity weight room, and the only reason I played rugby at Stafford was because it gave me access to the varsity weight room, which was a much better weight room. I was a deadlift record holder in that weight room. That's where I met Ballinger for the first time, even though we didn't speak to each other at that gym. He was like freaked out by me. He was like, all the black guys I knew had really well coiffed hair. I couldn't figure out what was going on with you. You just didn't comb your hair. I go, yeah. One day I woke up and said, this is vanity and vexation of spirit. I will not be combing my hair anymore. I just stopped combing my hair for like 2 years. He noted that I was insane. So that's why I was there, the varsity weight room. And I mean, I really didn't like rugby that much, but I really liked the varsity weight room. And I remember using an AMF leg press machine and, really going heavy on the weight. But what you're supposed to do is control it so that when you go back from the bottom position, you push out. You're not pushing out in a curved lower back. And I hurt my back then. And I hurt my back so severe. I'd never had an injury before. I go, that's it. I said, I'm getting shooting nerve pains in my leg. I'm done. I can't live. I stopped lifting weights. Did the worst possible response ever to an injury. Just stopped. And the depression I sunk into, yes, it was CTE from playing rugby. Yes, it was being disowned by my father and my mother at the same time. So having extreme financial difficulties. Yes, it was living in a, polyester catacomb, the trailers that they had no heat, and being dumped by several girlfriends and so on. So all these things were coming to a head. But the number one thing was now I had my identity had it was an accretion. I've been lifting weights since I was 9 years old. I've been buying muscle mags, muscle and fitness since I was 14. I've been taking adrenal gland, pituitary gland. I'm deep into this. I've been competing in bodybuilding shows. And to have to suddenly redefine myself on the basis of a menu that has nothing on it, nothing. At the age of 19, nothing. What was I interested in? Who was I? Anyway, that's what I'm ending the show on that note. The kid is asleep behind me. Well, she's not right behind me. She's in the next room through that door. So now I'm not going to scream. Yeah, hey, happy Mother's Day to June. That's right. June is a mom. All the moms in your life, you should wish happy birthday. If they're any kind of good moms at all, you should very, very definitely do that. I talked to my mom for a long time today, and I was glad to do it. She's terrified of me getting surgery tomorrow, but I go, it's nothing to worry about, Mom. I told him already, anything that happens to me is going to happen to you. None of I didn't say that in English or Spanish, being very nice, because I don't want general anesthesia. I think it's going to be local, so we'll be fine. Unless they try to come out with that free stuff again, which doesn't do jack a shit. Anyway, thanks for listening. Kid's sleeping, so I'm going to whisper our way through this, but look what your baby do. I got to record some songs this week, so I can't whisper.
Thanks for joining us this week for yet another episode of the Show Stomper podcast, featuring your host, Eugene S. Robinson. Be sure to follow Eugene's weekly newsletter, which is a soaring hit at eugenesrobinson.substack.com. If you're still on Twitter, he's at Eugene S. Robinson. While you're at it, follow him on Insta at Mr. Sleep 3, that's the number 3. For more episodes of the show that seemingly never ends, go to showstomper.substack.com and become a subscriber today. Eventually, it will house all the Knuckle Up archives we can locate. We already have all the jujitsu breakdowns for free. Check out Eugene on the Bad Boss Brief podcast every other Wednesday morning, as well as the If the Shoes Fit podcast. Pick up his memoir, A Walk Across Dirty Water and Straight into Murderer's Row today, and be sure to leave him a much appreciated honest Amazon review.
Hey, are you still there? I'm here too. This is me, June M. Williams, Eugene's producer.
The Show Stomper has been produced by Original Designs, owned and operated by me, June M. Williams. I provide Eugene with videography, original show graphics, motion graphics, show logos, podcast syndication, social media, and more. I can be reached at originals@gmail.com, spelled ORIJUNELS @gmail.com.